right, let's do it.
Under the same roof, share the love. Embracing the differences like hand in glove. Spreading peace and joy to both sides. Together we shine in each other's light. Forever we stand in love's pure mind. Watching the world in love and light.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Coming back, welcome back to Watching the World. Tonight we have a show that's near and dear to my heart because in many cases I cover a lot of high-profile court cases, Sean Diddy Combs, Donald Trump. We cover the news at noon, all sorts of exciting cases, sometimes just because of the algorithm, like Nolan Wells. We get a lot of people tuning in, right? Also, Carmelo Anthony, the list goes on and on. But quite frankly, the reason why I do what I do, because I'm able to collect a lot of eyes and ears to bring attention to cases that don't get a lot of light. Isn't that something? Tonight, we're going to be able to shine light into dark places, places that are less traveled with people who may not have the voice that perhaps a Sean Diddy Combs would have, right? In fact, tonight is such a glorious moment for me because I've collected enough people to be able to pay attention to a case of a mother that lives down in Texas that has a son that went through a situation that's very common to most people that live and have typical lives here and throughout the world. But sometimes when it comes to the school board, sometimes when it comes to the local municipality, sometimes we feel like we don't have the same advantage as other people do. And we have to wonder why. Why is it, right? And I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, but tonight we're going to go there a little bit. You know, when I cover cases, I'm pretty nosy, so I see things that most people don't. And so when I cover Sean Diddy Combs, when I go and cover Carmelo Anthony, sometimes I walk down the hallway of the courthouses and I look at those paintings of the judges who've been in power for the last 100 or plus years. Some of these guys are 93 years old, still on the bench. What are we doing? Right? And oftentimes when I walk down the hallways, I only see one black guy in the last 150 years. Why is that the case, right? That tells you a story. If you go to your local courthouses, you're going to see that. Sometimes when you go before the school board, I want you to pay attention, or your local municipality, you'll see it's heavily weighted of a particular persuasion, and you have to wonder, why is that the case? And oftentimes the people that complain do not bother to get involved in politics. In order to become a judge, you have to become a lawyer in most cases, right? Let's just face the facts. So if we're not stepping into those arenas, then guess what? Sometimes you just become a product of whatever the environment is already established. And I think that hit home for a lot of people. And I guarantee you, you should go look at your local courthouse and look at walk in there when you don't have a ticket or you have to face some divorce or some child support. Go in there this week and just look at the judges. Look at who has been in power in your local region for far too long. It tells you a big story about what we need to do, and many people need to step up and really elevate to a higher level to come to the table and be a part of a bigger discussion, right? I think it's very important for that. So tonight I'm bringing on the Remedee. She has a situation, and this is amazing for me to be able to bring an audience in to her personal life. Like typically, she probably wouldn't have a chance to push back on the school board by going to a great channel and getting more eyes on this case. And sometimes when that happens and you're able to get the local people to see you have a voice, they want to do better. And sometimes it's not by their choice, sometimes it's by force. So tonight, I welcome to the show Remedee. Come on in. How are you? It's good to see you. Nice to have you on the show.
Good evening, Mel. It's good to be here.
You look like you want to be on the show. That's a good welcome that you're presenting. You know, you look like a person that really wants to be here, and I'm so excited to have you.
Oh, yeah, I do want to be here. Thank you
A-
for having me.
Apart from your tough circumstances, I want to say thank you for being a valued watcher. You always support me. Ever since I met you at the Carmelo Anthony trial, right?
Yeah, that's
That's
right.
reason, right?
Yeah,
Uh, Apart from covering Carmelo Anthony, you have a personal issue happening with your own son.
yeah, that is right, Mel. My son got into an incident at the school, and I don't like how it was investigated or how things unfolded. I don't like the process at all.
Yeah, I've been watching. You've been keeping me abreast to what's happening, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Right. So it's good to be a part. I'm glad you think enough of me to want my advice on your situation. So tonight, I'm excited for you to be able to tell everybody what's happening with your son. I think other families are going to be happy to learn more about your situation. They're going to probably understand how to navigate their own children, right?
Yeah,
We have some feedback. Can you just mute up for 1 second?
yeah.
All right, thank you. And then I'm going to give you the floor. All right. So a lot of them probably have children that are trying to navigate. We see some strange things happening in the world, especially with the case of Nolan Wells, right? And it makes you wonder what the future holds for the young people. We also see what's happening with Carmelo Anthony. That's a very dramatic situation as well. So I'm going to give you the floor. And because we're having a little technical difficulty, I'm going to mute up. And I want you to be able to tell everybody what happened to your son. Tell us who your son is and what happened in your local school district and how it dramatically affected your son, but also your own personal life and family.
All right, thank you, Mel. Um, yeah, so back in May, on May 6th, well, first, my son, I want to start by saying my son at the time was a seventh grader, 13 years old when this incident happened. And it's never been in any trouble, never had an incident of this matter or this magnitude. Um, on the 6th of May, I received a call from the assistant principal at the Princeton ISD Clark Middle School. And well, I think he tried to call me, but my service was bad, so he sent me an email, which I was able to see immediately. He told me that something had occurred at the school, and he tried to contact me, but he was not able to get me and asked for me to give him a call. So I immediately called him. I think this was around 11, almost noon, if I'm not mistaken, when I got that email and when I
Can
called.
you can you give us a little context what state you're in? People want to know a little bit about, at least what state.
Yeah, I'm in Texas. I am in Texas. I am in Collin County. I'm in Princeton, Texas.
The same county as Carmelo Anthony, by the way. But go
Yeah,
ahead. Sorry.
that's correct. No, thank you, Mel, for that. But I received an email from him, and then I called him, the assistant principal. He proceeded to tell me about an incident that occurred at the school. And when he described it to me, in my mind, if I had to picture what was happening, he said that the boys were in the gym. My son and the other student, they were in the gym playing basketball. They fell. My son got on top of him and started to strike the other student. He told me that, you know, it was classified as assault and that my son had been removed. Um,
Okay, I want to stop you. And you can be free here. This is a free zone. But help us understand the color of your son, the color of the boy he got into it with. Give us the context of what's happening.
all right, so my son is, of course, like me, he's African American. He's a young African American boy. The other student, I'm not sure of his race, but I know that from I've never seen this child. I've never been given his information or anything, but my son told me that he's of another race or his skin color resembles, I'm sorry, the white ethnicity. So I've never seen him. I I haven't seen this child to this day. I don't. The only reason I know his name is from my son, but the school, due to FERPA, they don't give you that information. I think he's a I don't. I think he's white. I'm not sure, but I know he's not African American. He's not what my son is.
Okay, so proceed to tell us what happened that day.
All right. So on that day, the assistant principal, when I spoke to him on the phone, he started describing the incident to me. Right. He tells me that the boys were in the gym playing basketball. They fell, and my son got on top of the kid, started to strike him, and the fight was broken up. He told me that that was classified as assault, and because of that, my son had been taken to a center. And then listen, I want to put emphasis on this, Mel. When I'm talking to this assistant principal, even though he's explaining to me what has happened, what has occurred, it has still not registered to me the seriousness of the matter. Okay. Where I come from, when students fight in school, you get um ISS, you get a 3 day suspension sometimes. Depends on how major the incident is. But I'm thinking, okay, the kids fought, they removed them, but they removed him, and then, well, let me not take y'all too fast. So he describes the fight to me, and he also tells me about an incident that happened on May 1st. Now, May 6th was a Wednesday. I'm sorry if I didn't give y'all the date. May 6th was Wednesday. May 6th, 2026 is a Wednesday. The assistant principal proceeded to tell me that an incident happened on May 1st, and they were actively investigating that incident. But before they could conclude their investigation, this incident on the 6th unfolded. Okay, that's what he told me. Keep that in mind. This is the first time I've heard anything about this incident. Okay,
Hmm.
6th. So I talked to him on the phone and I asked him, I said, okay, well, he told me that we would have to have a follow-up meeting regarding the AEP placement because when there is an incident that occurs at the school that results in assault with bodily injury, then the students are mandatory to receive a DAEP placement. They're removed from their school setting and they're placed in this other setting. To me, is it resembles jail. To me, honestly, that's what it gave. It's heartbreaking. You- how you would feel, looking at inmates through a gate. If you're looking at inmates through a gate,
Yeah.
imagine me as a mom dropping my son off to this place every day, and he has to walk through this gate. It gives jail. It's heartbreaking. It is sad. It made my sister sad, my mom sad. It made us sad to just witness or have to, take him through this process and why. But just to back us up a little bit, I spoke to the assistant principal. He told me, I asked him if I would be able to go and get my son, same day from the center. And he's like, yeah, you'll be able to.
How old is your son?
He's 13.
Okay. Okay.
He's 13. And he told me I would be able to go and get him from this center. Right, Mel? So I'm like, okay, cool. I still don't understand the seriousness of what's going on. So I clock out of work later that day. Remind you, this is around 11 or 12. I want to say 12 because I got the email almost noon. And this is 12 now when I have this conversation with him. Um, I clock out of work. My shift ends at 3:45. So I leave work. I go to the center. I had to find it. The John R. Roach detention center. is what it is. The John R. Roach Detention Center.
Whoa, wait a minute now. Um, Carmelo Anthony's judge is Roach, so is this his family?
Um,
Uh,
it
un-
may
un- un-
be.
Unless you have a lot of roaches.
Yeah, I'm not. It may be him. I don't know if it's his family or his father or who it is, but the name of the center, and I just paid attention to it, is the John R. Roach. I wish I had the absolute name for you, but when I looked at it, it kind of, I didn't realize. Let me say this: I didn't pay attention to the name of the center until after this Carmelo Anthony situation because I had
Uh,
to take my son across the way from it. It's not across the street; it's in the same vicinity, but across the way from it is the center where you have to check your children in for probation. When they release their children to you, if they release them on the basis of supervised probation or something, there's a center across the street that you have to take them. And so my son I had to take him over there. I'm not jumping out of order, but I want to tell you when I recognize the name. I had to take him over there to meet with the probation officer because he was only released to me, on the grounds of probation. And then this is when I noticed the name on the building. It was John R. Roach, and I was like, "You got to be kidding me, really? This center?" But the name stood out to me then. But I go to this center, the John R. Roach Center, detention center, and I walk in. There are some, they may be deputies. I want to say they're deputies. They're behind this. It's so you know how if you go to your local jail, they're behind the glass. It gave me, there's a metal detector or something that you have to walk through, but it gave me jail vibes. But in the moment, Mel, I still don't understand, and I still don't know that my son is detained legally. Like this is considered juvenile jail. I still did not understand that.
what?
Not from the conversation on the phone with the assistant principal. When he explained to me what was going on, he told me I would be able to get him same day, right? So who can go into a jail and get their son same day? So I'm not thinking that this is a jail. But I go in and I say, hi, I'm here to, get my son. And they asked me, they said, well, did you receive a call from us? And I said, no. And she says, well, he will have to stay here. Um, he's actually going to have to stay overnight. And then the judge will decide if he gets to be released to you. So then that's when I realized, like what the F? What the F is going on? Now I feel misled because I spoke to the assistant principal. You told me I would be able to get my son from this place, right? Here in Collin County, the assistant principal is responsible for the disciplinary matters and things at the school. And I'm not gonna say, well, I guess I can say that. I know that fights may not happen a lot. You may not have 50 fights in a school year. You may only have 3 4 5, but I know if this is the process that you follow and you're used to this process, then the consistency or the information that you're providing regarding the process and how it's supposed to unfold should be the same. If you do this, if you're responsible for doing this, when these events unfold or when these incidents happen at the school, then there should be no room for you to provide me with misinformation. I went in that place, I walked into that center expecting to get my son same day, and they told me basically he's ours for tonight. He's ours. He's our property, and the judge is gonna, decide if we return him back to you. If and when we return him back to you. That's how I felt. So, Mel, I left there. I had another appointment to go to.
Can I pause for 1 second?
Yeah, you can.
When I was coming along, we had in school suspension, or you would be suspended for a couple days. So you mean to tell me the teenagers get locked up now?
Yeah, apparently they do, Mel. Apparently they do. And I didn't know, but I know now. I know now. I still don't understand, the process or how it happens, why it happens, but I know now that they can be arrested, taken from school, and taken to a baby jail, basically jail for babies. To me, they're babies. Even if they're 18, 19, they are still babies. They're young people. But um I went to that appointment, Mel, and they called me back. They called me, and I was at that place for a long time. I was actually going, to driver's license place, but I was there for a long time. But they called me and they asked me how soon I would be able to come back and get my son. They said, they decided that they were going to go ahead and release him to me because they looked at his record. He wasn't a bad kid. They didn't see any, issues with his behavior or his record. So we're going to go ahead and release him to you, Mom. How soon can you come back and get him so that he doesn't have to go to the back with the other, I don't know, we should call them students, or with the other, parties in the back, and undress, basically. When they said that to me, I did get worried, Mel, because I thought, is my son in there? Is he hysterical? Is he crying? Like, why do they not want to put him in? I know that they asked me, when I can come get him, but is he mentally okay? Is he acting out? Like, why did they say we're gonna go ahead and release him to you? I'm worried about my son. I'm thinking that he's hysterical and they're, trying to calm him or something, do something to pacify the situation. But I was able to go back, Mel, to the place after I left that appointment, and I got my baby. And when he got in the vehicle with me, oh no, pause. When I left that detention center the first time when they told me that I couldn't have my baby, I I think I had called the school back, and they didn't call me back. The assistant principal didn't call me back until I was back on the grounds at the detention center to pick my son up, because they had called me to tell me I could get him. And so honestly, I was going to curse that man out. I was going to curse him completely out because I felt embarrassed. I felt misled, you know, and I felt, like, why would you tell me that? Why would you? Nobody, you told me I could get my baby. These people are saying court to me. I have to work. They're telling me that he has to go to court in the morning. So in my mind, I'm like, now I got to make arrangements to be miss work. I got to miss work. I got to take off work so I can go to court with my son. But no one told me about court. The assistant principal did not mention court to me. He told me I would be able to get my son same day, and that's what I was expecting. So I was going to cuss him out. But he called me back when I got back on the premises, and I said, yes. I said, I called because you told me previously that sorry, I was trying to read the comment. I said, you told me previously that I would be able to get my son. And they told me that I couldn't have him. I don't think I told him that I was there to get him, but I think he apologized for the misinformation or something. Anywho, I picked up my son, Mel. I got my baby. And when we got in the vehicle, I said, son, what happened? He said, Mom, he put his hands on me. He said, he hit me. I said, son, what happened? I need you to explain to me what happened. I said, do not leave anything out. I need you to tell me step by step what happened, with this incident. He said, okay, we were in the gym. We were playing basketball. He said, and we tripped and fell. I kind of tripped over him. We tripped and fell because, we were trying to get the ball. He said, and I fell on top of him. He said, he pulled my hair. And I said, bro, why did you pull my hair? And he slapped me. And he slapped my glass on my face and said, get the fuck off me. That's what he
Oh,
Yeah, he said, get
Jesus.
the fuck off me. And so my son said, then I punched him. He said, I punched him 2 times, and then they got me up off of him. He said, and then, he said they were holding me, but I told them to let me go because if he got up to retaliate or do anything, then I didn't want them holding me. I wanted to be ready. So I instantly say, son, did you tell the assistant principal that? He said, yes. He said, yes, I told him that. He said, and they told me that they could see him slap the glasses off my face, but they didn't see him pull my hair. He said, that's what they said to me. So
Hmm.
immediately I send an email um to the assistant principal asking them to preserve all video evidence, all witness statements, anything involving this incident. I wanted them to preserve it,
Okay.
even if it's
Um,
not available.
So
For
describe your son's hair to us. We want to know.
my son, he has long, dark dreadlocks down his back. They're down his back.
Mm.
They're long. I started his dreads when he was, I want to say 1.5. He was 1 or 2, and I haven't cut his hair, so you can imagine how long his hair is. They're long. He has long locks down his back. And then I, um, I'm a licensed cosmetologist. Um, my passion is hair, so that's one of the things that I was able to, do for my son or my other kids as well. All of our boys. I'm gonna say this. My sister has a son. I have another son, and then I have a baby girl. But all of our children, my brother, they all have dreads. No one, well, no, my second son, he had a haircut. He's the only one that had no him and my brother, but my second son had a haircut because he was born bald and his hair wouldn't grow. So I was trying to, find options to make his hair grow. He had little patches everywhere. So we cut it off to, start it. I started his dreads when he was 2 or 3. I'm not sure. But all of them have dreads. All of our kids have dreads. And we do hair. We're able to upkeep, their hair. So I hold it. It's something that I like.
Okay, so another thing. Can you tell everybody you're a twin?
Yeah, I am an identical twin. My twin looks split in image, just like me.
Yep.
We're
Can't tell
super
you
close.
apart.
Our kids get us mixed up sometimes. If so, we do have different items. But if my bonnet that I wear is purple and hers is gold at times, and so if we switch, and I put on her bonnet and she puts on mine, they'll walk up on us too quick, like "Mom," and then they'll look. Oh, that's not my mom. Or sometimes they don't realize because we like to go along with it. Sometimes they don't realize until like one day I was sitting on the couch with my sister and my nephew walked up and I asked him for a bottle of water. And he went and got it and he came over there and he was talking to me and I was like, he said, "Who asked for it?" And I was like, "Me." And he was like, "Oh, here you go, Mom." And I was like, "Thank you." And so my sister intervened. She was like, "Son, you don't know your own mama?" And so he stopped and he looked and he just started laughing. He's like, "T, Mom." But yeah, our kids get we look just that much alike. We're identical.
You don't have to tell me. I've met both of you, so I know I wouldn't be able to tell you apart. You know, you smile the same, you sound the same. So everybody wants to get a clear understanding. Can you just explain again how this whole fight started?
Yeah, again, and we can say it as many times as we need to. The boys were in the gym. They were playing basketball, and they weren't the only ones. This was not an official basketball game. This was a school day, a regular school day when you're scheduled for the gym period, the athletic period. There were so many students on the basketball floor. It's not just my son and this other student. I'm gonna say maybe um 30 between, I want to say at least 30 kids, if not more, on the floor because they're all in there just, running around playing. They're playing basketball. But they were playing basketball. My son was guarding, well, from the video, he was on another side and they were playing, throwing the ball around. He was guarding the other kid that received the ball. He wasn't the only one that was guarding the kid. Other people were trying to get the ball too, but they ended up falling in the gym. They tripped and they fell. My son ended up falling on top of this student. It's still unclear of how they got in that position. The video footage that they gave me, I can't tell how he got there, but I can say, with my chest out, and I can say with, you know, absolute, what I want, certainty, it was not intentional. He accidentally fell on top of this student, and when he fell on top of him, the student, pulled his hair, and my son said, "Bro, why'd you pull my hair?" And while he was talking or trying to ask him why you pulled my hair, he slaps him. The other student slaps him and tells him to get the fuck off of me. So this is twice he's pulled his hair and then he slapped him to let him know, this wasn't accidental. This was intentional. Get the fuck off of me. And so then my son started he hit him. He told me that he hit him twice. He said he punched him twice and they pulled him off. The people were holding him. The students were holding him, but It's not like it took a bodyguard or something to hold him. If I feel like if another student was able to, hold him back without force, or, without having to rough him up, then he wasn't putting up much of a fight at all. But they separated them, and he told them to let him go, because if the other student got up to do anything, he didn't want to be restrained or restricted. He wanted to be ready. So they were in the gym playing basketball, and
So this other kid, as far as you know, was never arrested like your son, pretty much, right?
from my understanding, Mel, when my son was at the detention center, he didn't see the other kid there. There's one thing that I left out. So when I got him back with me, I asked him, because I was concerned about his mental health. I said, "How did you get here? Did they bring you here in the police truck?" And he says, "Yeah." It's like his spirit dropped when he said it. He said, "Yeah." I said, "Were you crying?" And he told me, yes. He said, I was crying. I said, were you crying, hard or bad? He told me, yeah, especially when they told me that they were about to take me away. He said he started crying at the school. He was crying, but he was able to calm himself down. I said, well, how did they handcuff you? He told me, yeah. And I said, did they handcuff you, to the front or the back? And he told me that he was front. They were cuffed in the front. He was cuffed in the front, but he was transported to the detention center in the back of the Princeton, not the school, the Princeton Police Department. Well, I don't even know. I think I want to say the police department, because if this is in the city, in the back of their police truck, the same truck that, if somebody commits a crime out here in the city of Princeton, the one that they'll
Whoa,
be
wait,
transported
wait.
in.
Not the paddy wagon.
Yeah, the truck.
The
Yeah.
paddy wagon. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, one of the ones. So out here, in October, when they do their when Halloween is near, they'll set up at this place, and they have a police truck up there sometimes. And they let the kids crawl out through the, back of the truck, get in there and go through the other side. I think they give them candy and stuff as well. But this same police truck that's meant for positive, because that's the first time my kids, you know, I don't even know if my son went through the police truck at that Halloween, at that event. People from Princeton probably know exactly what I'm talking about, but I don't even know if he even got through the back of there, if he even went through it. They just opened the doors and let the kids go through, but that same one of those same trucks is the same truck that my son was transported in
From school, middle school.
from middle school. That's right. From
And
middle
you
school.
live in Texas.
Yeah, I live in Texas. And this is new
Man.
to me, because again, where I come from, this does not happen. Something like this does not. I'm not saying that it can't happen, but it doesn't. I'm not used to this. Okay, kids fight, which we know that they do. I don't know how many schools have how many fights. Some schools may have, fewer fights than others, but from my understanding, where I come from, when the kids have a fight, when the students have a fight, they're suspended, or they're, sometimes they get ISS. The seriousness of the incident determines how long they are suspended for, or even expelled. But for a simple fight, something like this,
Right.
suspension is all that I know.
Right. Now, in this particular case, I don't want to get too ahead, but the other parents pressed charges on your son, but you were never offered the opportunity to press charges on the other kid, right?
That's right, Mel. And I wanna say this, and I want to be stern when I say this. The entire time, I've never been in agreement with what happened. When I had my son with me, when I got him from the detention center, one of the things he asked me was, "Mom, what's gonna happen to him? So is he in trouble too? What's gonna happen to him?" He's like, I said, "I don't know, son, because the schools are not allowed to, discuss the other students' disciplinary matters or anything about the other student with you." I said, "I don't know, but we're gonna find out." And he's like, "It's not fair because he hit me first. He hit me." But the entire time that I have been fighting with this incident, I did a level 1 appeal, I did a level 2 appeal, and then I did a level 3 appeal before the board of the Princeton ISD. The entire time, well, up until the second level appeal, I was under the impression that the charges were brought upon my son by the school, or that not even, I don't even want to say charges or the classification of the incident, because all they kept saying to me was assault with bodily injury. We had the SRO to investigate, and he determined that this is grounds for assault with bodily injury. He said the SRO, this is what he actually said to me, the assistant principal at our DAEP placement meeting the next day, which was May 7th. He said that the SRO's decision trumps the school's decision. So the entire time, I am thinking that the school is the one responsible for having my son transported away from the school, referred to that detention center. I'm thinking the school is solely responsible for this, or they're the party. It was not until my level two appeal response, that's the response from the assistant superintendent, that I learned that the other parents were the ones who wanted to pursue charges. And that stung, because now I'm saying, well, when I took, remember I mentioned that I had to take my son to the center, well, when they're released on terms of probation, I had to take him to that center. When I spoke with his officer, the officer asked me, if I knew whether the school was the one, with the charges, or if the other parents were the one. And I told him, I said, I don't know, because I didn't know. There's a lot that I did not know. But I was under the impression that the school is the one that did it, because I heard nothing about the other parents until my level two response, when the assistant principal told me that the parents, were the ones who wanted to pursue charges. Then I felt, um, I want to say I felt betrayed. I did, because this happened in May. My level two appeal response was given to me in June. June. Yeah, okay. And so when incidents happen, even, outside of school in life, if you feel, that you had a valid reason for something, filing charges, or if you feel like, you know, let me see how to put this in words. If you feel like a crime has occurred, and you feel like, with all certain, you have, you feel certain that a crime has occurred, then you don't want to wait to file charges, or to start the process to get justice. You don't want to wait. Here I am in June. I'm just learning that the other parents have pressed charges on my son. This entire time I have felt like this child hit my son, so he should have been reprimanded too. Okay, I'm waiting. I'm leaving it up to the school to reprimand this child. This whole time I have been explaining to you, expressing to you that he hit my son first. I'm not saying, hey, my son doesn't deserve any punishment because he hit the student back. What I'm saying is, I accept if you're saying that my son committed assault with bodily injury, if you have a video footage that shows that, and my son tells you, hey, I hit this kid, if you're saying, treating that basically as a confession, saying he said that he hit the other kid, okay, I accept that. But he also said the other kid hit him. So where's the punishment for this kid? This is what I've been asking the entire time. What happens to this kid? I have been saying it's not fair. What happens to this kid? And so I'm in June, and I realize I could have pressed charges.
Hmm.
Now, if I choose to press charges, I look like a fool. That's what I look like. I look like a damn fool. It looks retaliatory, if you ask me. Because if you felt like a crime occurred, or you felt like this other student, did something so bad to your son, why didn't you file charges? I didn't know that I could, Mel. I didn't know
Wow.
that I could. I didn't know that the charges were filed by the other parents until my level two appeal. Nobody explained,
Right.
the process or anything to me.
We're going to listen to your hearing just so people know we're going to go through your hearing. But I think people, when we go through your hearing, you're going to see who you went up against, and it's kind of intriguing. And I'll put it lightly,
Yeah.
intriguing. All right. So, could you just answer this though? Talk about proportionality, because your son was hit first.
Right.
Proportionality we heard about in the Carmelo Anthony case, and that's when a lot of people start talking about it. But
Yeah.
you heard that word in your case too, right? Your
I
son's
did.
case.
Yeah.
Talk
So
talk about it.
yeah, for the level one appeal, the principal, because this
Right.
is what goes before the principal.
What's the
Um,
principal's name? Can you share?
I know in the board meeting they told me that I could not, if I was going to address them, that I had to say principal, assistant principal, or superintendent. They told me that I could not say their names. They said my son's name, which is interesting to me because I thought that we couldn't say names, or because they're protected by FERPA. At least that's what the superintendent said to me. We had a phone call before, this incident. I mean, before the meeting, and he told me that if I was going to address anyone, that I couldn't call their name. So I'm not sure if even now I can say their names. I'm not sure.
Really?
Yeah,
Hmm.
but they
Okay.
did say my son's name. One, So Mel, I want to say
We'll
this
we'll
before
let we'll let the principal slide, but this is not the board meeting. But we'll give him a pass. All
Oh,
right.
well, if those same rules don't apply, the principal.
It's all right. It's okay. It's okay. We'll be graceful today. Only today though. Next time we won't give him a pass. All right.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. Um, I want to say this, Mel. I spoke to the superintendent. Okay, let me lay this out because I might be confusing people. Trying to follow along with this.
Take your time and lay it out well.
All right. So to initiate the incident, well, to initiate the investigation, the
Right.
person responsible is the assistant principal of the school, of Clark Middle School. They are the ones who are responsible for the disciplinary placements and things, also for those students. Okay. When you do your level 1 appeal, the person responsible for hearing your appeal and responding to you is the principal of that said school. Okay. When you do your level 2 appeal, the person responsible is the assistant superintendent of the school district. And when you do your level 3 appeal, then the superintendent is who you would be addressing and who would set everything up for you or get everything into place. But I spoke with the superintendent. Um, I want to say a week, some days before, because I did give it to them, pretty late. I almost missed the deadline, but I gave it to them pretty late, and my meeting had to be scheduled for I think the next board meeting. But when he spoke to me, he asked me if I wanted to do an open meeting or a closed meeting, and I said, well, I'm considering doing an open meeting, and he said, well, he said, well, just keep in mind that open is where it will be live streamed. Okay, it's going to be live. It's going to be in front of everyone that's there. He said, there's going to be a video shown. He said, so, just, keep in mind, or, think about if you want to bring this exposure, basically is what he was explaining to me, because there's going to be a video shown. This is going to be live. This is not going to be executive session. This is going to be live if you choose to do open. I said, well, do I have to answer that now? And he tells me, he said, well, I can contact you back on Thursday. Um, give you some time to think about it. He told me, I did he mention that um I don't know if he mentioned names. I don't want to say that. But from that phone call, what I took from him was that this is going to be exposure. There's going to be a video shown. Do you want to do this open? I said, do I have to respond to that now? He told me he would contact me back on Thursday. I thought about it for 2 days. I was like, there are people in the community that watch this stuff. Do I want to expose my son's name? Do I want to expose my name? Do I want people to start, coming after me? This is something that I want to think on. I'm not concerned about the video because I know what I saw and I know what's there. Okay. But I was like, do I want to, is this the way I want to do it? And I thought about it. I said, okay, well, I don't want to be closed in. I said, if they're going to agree with me or disagree with me, they're going to do it whether, it's open or closed. But I don't want to feel boxed in. I said, so I'm going to do it open. He called me back Thursday and he asked me, well, he gave me a layout of how things would go. And he asked me, he said, so did you decide how you want to do it? And I said, yeah. I decided, I said, I want to do it open. And he immediately asked me, he said, may I ask why you're leaning more towards having it that way? And I said, well, I've been speaking with different people, and I want to, present them with the opportunity to be able to come in and, support if they want to come in and support me and sit in and watch. He said, well, like I told you before, he said, your your sister, he's like, I know your twin sister, you and her are pretty close. She would be able to come in to the executive meeting with you. And I didn't know how he knew that because I don't know him. I don't know the superintendent. I had never seen him, so I don't know how he knew, how close me and my sister were. He also told me, he's like, and if you have an advocate or something, that speaks for you, they will be able to come too. Um, but I told him, yeah, but I'll choose to do it open. Then he started to go into details to tell me how it would go, and this was interesting to me. I am gonna say that. He said, when you're speaking, you cannot say their names. He said because they're protected too. He said so you have to say principal or assistant principal or superintendent. And it dawned on me. I'm like, well, Tuesday, I was worried about exposing my name and my son's name. I was worried about exposing things, but here we are Thursday, and the superintendent is telling me, hey, you don't say names. That was one thing. And then he followed on in the conversation. He said, he was talking about the video. He said, so I will say this. If a video is shown, it will be shown in executive session only. And then because I asked him, I said, so if I have a video that I want to be shown, I don't know what the what this assistant superintendent provided them with, but if I want to, provide a video or show a video, do I have to bring that, or do you guys have a copy of it? It's the question that I asked him, and that's when he told me that if a video is shown, it will be shown in executive session. That alarmed me, Mel, because just Tuesday when I was on the phone with him just 2 days ago, he told me one of the reasons why I would want to consider not having this as an open meeting, or consider think about it, is because a video will be shown. But here we are Thursday, and you're telling me that it won't be shown to the people. It'll be shown in executive session. So I don't understand why that was given, why there was given any weight, why any weight was given to the fact of the video on Tuesday being shown, when Thursday we learned that it actually won't be shown before the people. Um,
Okay. I want to pause you for 1 second. There are people in the audience like Jeff Springer. They're interested in helping you with your legal issues. So at some point, if you can put your contact or your Cash App or your whatever way you want to be contacted, you can put it in the comment section. All right.
okay, yeah, I can do that.
All
Um,
right. But you don't have to do it right now. I'm just letting you know. I want you to do it before the show is over. So, uh, what we'll do now, we'll take a break from you giving your explanation. We're going to tune in now to your actual hearing,
okay,
and we're going to stop every so often. I'm going to ask you questions about it. All right. I think you did an excellent job,
okay,
but let's get to it. Are you ready?
I'm ready, Mel.
All right. I like that. That's good. All right. So just give us an introduction. What are we looking at here?
All right, so here you are looking at the members of the board. My twin and I are to the on there. We are on my left. We're in the white. The two ladies in the white. We also have another person sitting there with us, a friend of mine that I also met at the Carmelo Anthony hearing, and she's been dedicated. She spoke on my behalf. I want to say that too. They opened the floor to public comments, and she drafted up a response and she spoke, but it actually took place before I got there and before any of this unfolded. To the right, I think these are just I want the person right there in the white, and the person on the second row to the right, the guy with the burgundy shirt on, and the one in the white shirt. This is the assistant principal, which is the male. The male is the assistant principal. The principal of the school is the one that's in the white to the right of the screen. The people that we're facing, they are the board, and the attorney for the board is sitting there as well. I think she's in black. She's in the middle. The president is in the white shirt next to Yeah, that's the president. The assistant president is the lady that's sitting right next to, yeah, that's Starla. She's the assistant president. The rest, I think they are just trustees of the board. But yeah, in the room on the right side, you guys can't see in the far back, but there are more people there that attended. Most of the people had already left, but some people they stayed behind. Um, I don't know if they had heard about it. Um, I want to say I did see, I think maybe one other black person in their room besides my twin, the lady that's sitting beside us, the two members on that board meeting. Besides that, I want to say maybe one or two people in that room were color of color. But yeah,
Lord,
looking at
this is rough,
yeah.
rough. Anyway, let's get started. All right, I have it queued up, so let's get going.
All right.
It takes a minute for it to say something.
For my requested relief, I respectfully request that the board review whether district standards regarding self-defense, proportionality, and reasonable belief were applied consistently to both students. Determine whether the available evidence conclusively supports maintaining the classification of assault causing bodily injury. Consider modifying or removing the assault causing bodily injury classification from my son's disciplinary record if the board concludes that that evidence does not support that determination. Determine whether the superintendent's reduction of the DAEP placement to time served further supports reconsideration of the permanent disciplinary classification.
I have to stop here. Can you tell us what are you actually asking for? Break it down for us.
All right, so basically, here I was asking for the board to determine if the available evidence supports, the classification on my son's record. And not only that, in that second level appeal, the assistant superintendent decided to remember I said that if there is assault with bodily injury, they have a mandatory 30-day DAEP placement in that baby jail place. Um, so the assistant superintendent decided to reduce my son's sentence based on his record, based on him not having any major issues on his disciplinary record, and he said also because it was so close to the end of the year. Remember, this happened on May 6th. I think the students maybe had 2 or 3 weeks left in school, and so he didn't feel like, well, that's what he said. He didn't feel like, well, he felt like because of the timing that it happened he could reduce it. So they reduced it to time served. So basically, he said that my son would be able to begin the new school year at his school setting. He wouldn't have to return to DAEP placement. So I was asking the board, if can you look into this and find that if it was reasonable for the assistant superintendent to reduce my son's placement, is it necessary for it to even remain on his record? Should we remove it? Can we remove it? I wanted them to also take a look, Mel. This was the biggest thing that I was asking them to do. Investigate this situation for themselves and find if fairness was conducted, if the students were evaluated in the same manner, if fairness was given throughout this investigation, if what happened here was deemed fair, and if the evidence supported it, if the evidence that we have or that the school brought about supported it. And the reason I say that, Mel, is because I learned that with the self-defense claim in school, the assistant principal, because remember that's who's responsible for the disciplinary, they are able to use their own discretion in determining if it's self-defense or if it warrants as self-defense. Okay, they don't have, from what they told me, they don't have an actual language that says if this happens, or if this happens, then this is self-defense. No, they get to use their own discretion to determine if this warrants self-defense. Since I'm speaking about that, Mel, one thing I want to talk about too is in a level one appeal, the principal told me that my son's actions were disproportionate because the student slapped him, yet he punched the student. And so it kind of made me wonder, like, can you not punch someone if they slap you? Is that what you're saying to me? Are you saying that he was excessive because he punched the kid and the kid slapped him? Because that's what I took from it in that level one appeal. She said it was disproportionate.
Okay, so
Okay.
let me pause you for a minute, all right?
Mm-hmm.
For those of you that are in the audience, hit the like button, share, and subscribe. Put a 1 in the chat if you think punching somebody when they slap you is disproportionate. All right. So 1 if you think it is, 2 if you think no. All right. So let's check it out. Let's see what the audience say. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, but she told me it was disproportionate because my son punched that kid. She also told me that the other student was actually acting out of self defense because my son was sitting on top of him when he struck him. All right, Mel, this was concerning to me because if you are saying that the other student had the right to slap my son and do whatever he did to him because he was sitting on top of him, now I'm asking you to explain how my son came to be in this position. Can you explain to me how we got here? If we're going to say it's reasonable for the other student to defend himself or act in self-defense when we're playing basketball, regardless of whether this is official or not, these students are playing basketball. If it's reasonable for him to strike someone because they're sitting on top of him or fell on top of him, then I need for you to be able to explain to me using this video evidence and your discretion or whatever you want to use, how my son came to be in this position.
All
And
right. So I just want to say we have some individuals that should be here from your school board because I reached out.
yeah,
So I want to point out if the individuals are here, look and see how the audience has responded in regards to the question about whether the punch disproportionate to the slap. It looks like all the people in the audience are pretty much voting the same way. Go
okay,
ahead.
got it. All right, I can see that. Thank you guys. Um, But yeah, she told me that the other student was acting out of self defense. And so in my level two appeal, I challenged it. I want to know how he got like this. And if we're giving weight to him sitting on top of this child, tell me how he got here. Tell me how my son intentionally sit on top of this kid? Did he pin him down like, oh boy, you fell on the floor and I'm about to get you now. I have the advantage. You're on the floor. I'm about to climb on top of you. Tell me that's what happened. I need for you to explain to me that this is what happened. If we're giving weight to the other child being able to act out of self defense when they're playing ball. One more thing I want to point out, Mel. I'm gonna let the people watch too. But this video that the school provided me was 18 seconds long. Okay? It's 18 seconds long. I observed the other student pull my son's hair at the 11-second mark. That leaves us with 7 seconds left. Okay. So in 7 seconds, this incident unfolds between these students. Keep that in mind. In 7 seconds, the pull hair, slap, the punch in 7 seconds. Keep that in mind.
All right. So we're going to get back to your words here.
Okay.
And ensure that my outstanding Texas Public Information Act request is fully processed and that all responsive aggregate records are produced or that any records not produced are identified in accordance with applicable law.
Thank you. In your presentation, you indicated that your student was assaulted first. Were there any other student statements or witness information that supported that allegation?
Yes, ma'am. There were student statements that indicated that my son was struck first. Also, in the level one appeal, the principal acknowledged that my son was struck first.
And can you help us
Okay, elaborate a little bit. The principal acknowledged your son was struck first.
She did. So in that level one appeal, she told me that yes, we can see that the other student does strike your son first. However, he was acting out of self defense. He was the one that was actually acting out of self defense. Let me see if I don't think I have it here. I would have read it to you guys. I don't have it here, her exact words, but she told me that the other student was acting out of self defense, even though he did hit my son first, because my son was on top of him when he struck him.
Hmm. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Hmm. That's
Yes, very
puzzling.
interesting, Mel, because during it didn't receive weight, or it wasn't fully acknowledged. I want to say that my son's account that he had been struck first was not fully acknowledged or acknowledged at all until that level one appeal. There was an investigation that happened at the school when this incident happened. The assistant principal, had the opportunity to view that video, take witness statements, listen to my son. The SRO, I'm not sure their position, but they had the opportunity to listen to my son, hear him out, hear what he said happened, interview those students, hear what they said happened. Yet my son was the only one that was penalized, even though from the beginning, even in his statement, he says that the student hit him first. All the other witness statements say that the student hit him first. And now we have the principal acknowledging that in the level one appeal for the first time, apparently.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Understand the argument for self-defense or the standard for self-defense that you believe should be applied, specifically because your student was straddling the other student at the end.
Yes, ma'am. So I do understand the position that my son was in. However, I do want to reiterate that he fell into that position while they were playing basketball due to the inconsistency or the nature of the video. We cannot make out every action or determine how exactly they ended up in that position. But I do know that my son wouldn't have hit the other student had he not hit him and pulled his hair.
Mr. Gunnels,
So, elaborate a little bit for us.
Um, yeah, Mel. So right there, I'm sorry, I read one of the comments and it kind of took my thought away. Um, right there, I think they asked me something about my son straddling the other student. Um, I'm sorry, Mel. That comment it took me back. But she asked me
So,
about
so let's address the comment. Did you sign a handbook um, saying your son couldn't hit back or defend himself?
no, I didn't sign a handbook saying my son could not hit back or defend himself. That's interesting, that question that they put there, because I
This
watched.
is this is your night. You have the microphone. I demand more from you. You got to talk your talk. What you doing?
Yeah, that's interesting that they put this question here and said we signed a handbook but we didn't read it. I watched this board meeting. It continued after I left, and one of the trustees on the board, she had an issue with the fact that in the handbook there is writing that says that the students are um they're able to receive corporal punishment unless the parents, they're able to be paddled by a board or receive corporal punishment unless the parents write a letter to opt in and say, I don't want my student to receive this penalty. And so the lady sitting on the far right, she kind of gives Asian, I don't know her race, but she had a problem with that. She said, because this is in writing. She said, I don't think that it should be this way. Well, the superintendent argued back and said, well, we, even though it's written in the handbook this way, we don't practice corporal punishment. And so what she said was, regardless, if we hire somebody is new here and they see this in the handbook, she said, just because it has not happened yet does not mean that it will not happen. If they see this in the handbook and they powder one of the students, then they are going to feel like it's in writing and it's able to be done. She said, this is one of the things she said, Mel. She said, yes, it's in the handbook, but this handbook is so long, people don't read it. People are not going to read it. She said, so I just feel that instead of framing it as all students are able to be, paddled. If you don't want your student to be paddled, you have to write a letter and opt out. She said, I feel like it should be reversed, where it's not automatic, and the parents are able to opt in if they want their students to receive corporate, the paddling from the district. But I just wanted to address that question because, they said you signed the handbook,
Right.
ma'am, and you didn't read it. Well, a lot of people don't, and the board realizes that a lot of people don't.
What's beautiful though is that we have people here from your local community, and that's what we wanted. So it's
Yeah.
amazing that we're able to get people in that you really targeted. That's beautiful.
Hmm.
But don't let it distract you. Don't let it
Yeah.
distract you.
Yeah, I
I
just want
understand.
to answer that,
But you
male.
can answer,
And
but
even
this
if,
is
but that's a good point because listen, even if I did sign the handbook according to the board in this same meeting, if you go and you continue watching it, if you actually go to their page and you watch it, there are things written in the handbook in a different way that you sign that you're not aware of, and you have the board member that's up there advising them that we need to rephrase this, we need to change this. It does not need to be in here this way, regardless of whether the school practices this or not. It needs to be changed because it's in writing, and you have the members of the board that voted against her when she put that motion, forward to have that changed in writing. So yeah,
okay.
sometimes you don't even know what you're signing.
Right, right. All right, let's get back to it.
Was there a policy violation in this case?
I did not determine that there were any policy violations.
Ms. Maddox, the same question to you.
So I feel like the other student, um,
Can you just explain who's the fella? Oh, I'm not showing the. Here
Yeah.
we go again. Lord have mercy. Hold on one second. I have to remember. Okay, here we go. So, can you explain this fella here? I'm going to
Yeah.
take it back just a little bit. Give me one second. Sorry about that. I screwed that up. All right, here we go.
yes, ma'am. So I do understand the position that my son was in. However, I do want to reiterate that he fell into that position while they were playing basketball due to the inconsistency or the nature of the video. We cannot make out every action or determine how exactly they ended up in that position, but I do want it in a way to let my son know that it was intentional. He, in fact, cursed at him and told him to get off of him and hit him after he pulled his hair. I do believe that a violation occurred because if one student was penalized as um, creating, or what do I want to say? If one student was viewed as committing assault, then the other student should have as well, because my son's fall was not intentional, yet um, the fall itself, the placement of how he's on the other child is um, giving weight. It's being given weight that would constitute the other student to strike my son, and that was not intentional. So I feel like if his fall could be constituted as, even though it was accidental, as a reason for the other kid to hit him, then my son was well within his rights to strike the other kid back if he unintentionally hit him, even though my son says it was intentional.
Mr. Gunnels, can you help us understand how police became involved in this situation? Was it district requested or parent prompted?
It was at the request of the parent. I included the assistant principal, Cody Herrera's statement in the level 3 record, and he indicated that in the nurse's office, when they contacted the parent of the other student to inform them of the incident that had happened, that the parent indicated that she wished to press charges.
Any thoughts on this?
Yeah. Touching just to let the people know what I was explaining before we got to this part. Um, I was basically saying, well, so the in the level 2 appeal, the assistant principal, that's who that not the assistant principal, the assistant superintendent, that's who that guy is that you guys see speaking on the mic. He said that that The assistant superintendent said that my son had the opportunity to disengage. He also said that he tried to minimize the strike from the other student. Remember, in the level 1 appeal, we have the principal acknowledging, hey, we see the other student hit your student, but he was actually in his rights because, well within his rights because he was acting out of self-defense. Well, in the level 2 appeal, the assistant superintendent says, well, I can see his hand go towards your son's face, but I cannot make out whether it was intentional or not, in so many words. And so in that moment, what I was explaining was my son's fall on top of this other student was also unintentional. Yet you guys are saying that this student gets to act out of self-defense and hit my son, even though my son unintentionally fell on top of him. So the assistant superintendent is going to say, well, it doesn't look like he intentionally tried to hit your son. I beg to differ. Because if his actions were also unintentional, why is my son not given the same grace, or why is he not viewed in the same frame to be able to defend himself, even though something happened to him accidentally? Mel, where is the
Right.
equality in that? That's what I was explaining. And then I moved on further. Well, you can hear the assistant superintendent explaining that he included something from Cody Herrera, the assistant principal of the school. He said he included something to the board from him that says that it was at the parents' prompt to file the charges. But again, Mel, no one ever told me that. And I don't know if they were supposed to or not. But regardless of whether they were supposed to or not, from the very beginning, my son has always said that this kid hit him first. So whatever way you describe this incident to her, however you laid out the options to her, I should have been given the same affordability. I should have been able to say, hey, I want to file charges. Or it should have been explained to me in a way where, Mel, I feel like I can file charges. But when he called me, remember, when he told me on the phone, he explained the incident to me. In my head, if I had to picture what happened, he said they were playing ball, they fell, my son got on top of this kid and hit him. What parent in their right mind, with someone explaining this incident to them in that way, feels that they have grounds to press charges on another student or press charges at all? What parent feels like their son is in the right for getting on top of this student, punching this student? They were playing ball, nothing happened. They fell, and your student just got on top of them and started punching them. Who would want to file charges, Mel, or take action on it? When that man described the incident to me on the phone, this is what I pictured from what he explained to me. When I got that video evidence, Mel, I saw differently. When I spoke to my son, I heard differently. And even though he's saying that he included something to the board from the assistant principal saying that the other parents, wanted to press charges, what, sir, did you say to them? How did you describe this to them? I don't have record of that phone call, and I can't verify whether or not you presented them with the opportunity to file charges or not. But I know it was never given to me, even though my son said the other student hit him. I feel like the way that the investigation unfolded and occurred was completely unfair to both me and my son. And that's how
Okay.
I still feel.
All right, guys. In the chat, put a 1 in the comment section if you think she should file charges at this point. Put a 2 if you think not. Let's see what everybody has to say.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to get back to the video here.
And Mr. Gunnels, another question for you. What outcome are you asking the board to reach tonight?
I ask that the board uphold the level 2 decision.
And Mr. Gunnels, at what point in the process was Ms. Maddox's students able to provide a statement or to share information?
Corey provided a statement prior to the arrest, immediately after the incident.
And did his statement conclude what?
His statement was included in the level 3 record, and it stated that we were in the gym, was guarding a student, he was dribbling, and I knocked him by accident, and he fell, then he hit my face with his hand, and then he pulled my hair, and I hit him right after he pulled my hair. I got him off me. That's when. And then the statement concludes.
And when were parents notified of the arrest or detainment?
Mr. Herrera notified Ms. Maddox that day.
What do you think?
I think he was correct when he said that day, but I noticed that he didn't say immediately after. Another thing that I want to point out, Mel, remember I told you guys that I got the email from the assistant principal around 11 something, almost noon. When I look at the incident report, this happened at 9 something in the morning. This incident unfolded at 9 something in the morning, and I got the email from him letting me know that he tried to reach out to me at almost noon. So he was correct when he said he notified me that day. Yes, he did. But the manner or the quickness, the swiftness, I don't know of how he should have notified me. Some people are concerned with saying that before they even took my baby away from that school, before they did any of that, they were supposed to let me know what was happening. You know, a lot of people are concerned with that. They said that they shouldn't have moved forward with that before speaking to me, you know, especially since it's criminal charges involved.
Right, right. Thank you very much. We're going to keep moving here.
And when you looked at the record, Mr. Gunnels, what information do you believe the campus, as well as yourself, looked at to come to the conclusion? Was it solely the statement of the other student or the video? What did you look at?
I considered the totality of the record, student statements, staff statements, and the video.
And to Ms. Maddox, what information do you believe was not considered that should have been considered?
I believe my son's statements were not given equal weight. I believe the video was not viewed. I know that they viewed it, but I don't believe that they viewed it, what do I want to say, carefully or closely to observe everything that happened. From the beginning, my son explained to them what happened. I can see it in the video. The student statements support what my son said, yet the other student wasn't treated, you know, with the same, he wasn't treated the same way. I didn't get the opportunity from what I believe, the way that the investigation occurred at the school. I didn't get the opportunity to advocate for my son or say, hey, well, I would like to initiate charges as well. In fact, I didn't learn that charges were from the other parent until my level 2 appeal. With this process, I was completely confused. After the incident happened, the assistant principal did contact me. He spoke with me on the phone, described to me, you know, how the incident unfolded or how he felt the incident unfolded or how it looked. I asked him if I would be able to go and get my son from the center that he said he was at. He told me, yes, I should be able to go and get him. When I went to that center and I walked in and I told them that I was there to get my son, they asked me, did I receive a phone call from them? And I said, no. And then the officer said, well, he has to stay here and the judge will decide if he gets to go, if he gets to be released to you or not. And at that moment is when I realized my son has been detained or he's being detained, or this is basically like jail, that he's, you know, has to stay here. I left that facility. They called me back and they told me, due to his record, him not having a previous record, that they would release him to me and ask me how soon I would be able to come and get him so that he wouldn't have to go to the back and dress out with the other kids. I told him that I could be there. I think by 3:30, I was there to pick up my son. When I spoke with him, I said, son, what happened? He said, Mom, he hit me. He said he slapped me. He slapped my glasses off my face and he pulled my hair. I said, well, did you tell the assistant principal that he hit you first? He said, yes. I told him, and they told me that they could see him slap the glasses off my face, but they didn't see him pull my hair. Um, and then that's when I reached out to the school to tell them to preserve, well, ask them to preserve all the footage, all the witness statements, and everything. Um,
Did they do that?
So yeah, Mel, I received I think three witness statements, two or three witness statements, one being my son's. I received an incident report. I received a nurse's report. I received two videos. I received two videos from the school, and they were like far out. You had to zoom in, like with the Carmelo Anthony thing. You had to zoom in to be able to see. You had to slow it down to be able to depict what happened, because remember, the video is 18 seconds long only, and the incident doesn't unfold until the 11-second mark. But yes, to answer your question, Mia, they gave me that, and then I sent a follow-up request to them via email because I like to create a paper trail. I sent a follow up request asking them to confirm whether this is all the evidence that was relied upon to make the decision or determination. I asked them if other, footage was available, because I had a hard time at first trying to make out my son on that video. I just wanted them to confirm that this is all that we have, this is all that we used, and they did. So, yeah, from my
Okay.
understanding, yeah.
All right. I'm going to try to mix in questions for you to answer because the audience wants to know what grade is this?
Seventh grade. My son was seventh grade. He'll be eighth grade this upcoming school year.
All right. We have new people coming in. How old was your son when this happened?
13 years old.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you. So we're going to go back and check out more of the hearing.
and it was just very concerning for me from there, because I know that we cannot discuss the other students' penalties or things like that. We cannot discuss anything about the other student due to FERPA. But I know that when my son underwent what he did when he was taken away from the school, and I asked him, how did he get there? How was he there? And he said that they brought him there in the back of the police truck. And I asked him, I said, well, were you crying? And he told me yes. He was very upset when he learned that he was going to be going. Well, they put the cuffs on him and took him away. Um,
Thank you. I
you're
think that
welcome.
answered the question.
You're welcome.
And Ms. Maddox, you asked for his record, the assault with bodily injury, to be removed or changed on his record. What specific harm do you believe the assault with bodily injury has on his educational record moving forward?
So my son, he likes sports. I do know that the records, they're a reflection of the students for the remainder of the years that they are in school. In fact, in the DAEP placement meeting, I was asked about his current offenses. I feel like with this being left on his record, it reflects negatively against him, in his school environment as well as with sports and anything outside of school as well.
Mr. Gunn,
What does your son have to say about this?
My son is still confused, Mel. He's saying that it's not fair. From the moment I picked him up from the detention center, he's like, Mom, is something gonna happen to him? Is he in trouble too? Is he in trouble too? He's worried about his record with school, because he wants to play sports. My sons, they tell me a lot that they want to make it big. They have dreams of, going big in whatever sport it is that they take passion in, and they keep telling me this constantly. They want to make it big. I feel like, with that being on his record, Mel, that reflects negatively against him, not just for sports, but for his educational environment. When he's in school and something else happens, because he has this on his record, they're going to reflect to that. They're going to look at that. When I was in that DAEP placement meeting, they asked me, the assistant principal asked me about any other offenses that he had on his record. So, they're trying to minimize it. They told me that the coaches and things wouldn't have access to my son's record. They probably wouldn't even know that this happened. They told me that At most, the people dealing with it are the ones who would know what happened. They basically told me that it shouldn't have any effect or minimal effect on him at all. But Mel, I beg to differ. We live in a different world if we're being honest. And I don't know how far these records follow you, but I feel like it shouldn't have been there in the first place. Or if it's going to be there, then that other kid deserves to have it there too. But my son is worried about his record. Um, with sports and with the school period. And he also, I want to say this, and this is not about his record, but I was walking with my son outside of Walmart one day, and I said, "Son, do you feel like this has mentally disturbed you? Do you feel like this has discouraged you in any way?" And he asked me, he said, "Mom, what do you mean?" I said, "So what I'm asking is, the incident that just took place or what you're going through, did it make you feel different? Did it make you want to, do things differently? Does it make you afraid in any way?" And he told me that he's afraid to defend himself now, Mel. This is what my son told me. That is heartbreaking, and it hurts every time I think about it. He told me that he is afraid to defend himself because the next time they might actually keep him and make him stay overnight in the jail. So, you asked about the
Wow.
record, but it's not just his record that he's worried about. I'm worried about him moving forward, Mel. How does my son, how is he gonna react in certain situations? Are you guys setting him up to be bullied, antagonized, like what people get to do whatever they want to do to my son? Asked me, he said, "Mom, so can you are they saying that somebody can slap you but you can't punch them? Is that what they're saying? Are they saying that people can slap you and nothing happens to them, but if you punch them then something happens to you?" He is truly confused, Mel, and he is mentally disturbed. He's very mentally disturbed. When he saw the police truck come to the school with me, I went over, for the DAEP placement, and they actually called the police on me because I was asking for the appeal paperwork and they wouldn't give it to me. They Erica, that's the principal's name, Erica. She asked me to leave her premises, and I want to touch bases on that since I mentioned it. At the DAEP placement, I was the meeting. I was speaking to the assistant principal, and I asked him if my son had told him that the other student struck him. He told me it may have been mentioned. Um, he told me that we weren't there to talk about the other student. I was like, "So wait a minute." I said, "When do your placements or your recommendations," I said, "most of the times, are your investigations concluded?" And he said, "Most of the time, yes." I asked him that because one of the statements he made was that due to the statement that we made about the other student hitting my son, that other investigation could occur or they needed to look further into the matter. And so I was telling him, well, we can't move forward with this placement meeting. We're not going to make a decision on a placement for my son if you're saying that you still need to go back and look further into this incident. That's not fair. The whole time I was saying that's not fair. But he said that he was going to get me the appeal paperwork, and he left that hearing and he went out, and then he came back in. He didn't have the paperwork. But I was still expressing to him that I didn't think it was fair. He ended the meeting unbeknownst to us. You're supposed to announce that you're ending the meeting. He ended the meeting after that, and so he went into the office across the hall. I walked in shortly after him, and I said, "You ended the meeting before we were done." I said, "You said that you were going to get me the appeal paperwork, and I want the appeal paperwork." He was very frustrated, very flustered. He had an attitude because, the meeting, I have that recorded as well. I have that recording as well. The principal was in the office at this time, and she was standing there. And she said, "Ma'am," and I turned to her and I said, "Don't you talk to me." They said, "No, this is the principal." I said, "I know exactly who you are, Erica Haggard. Do not talk to me." I said, "Today is May 7th, 2026. 2026. I reached out to you in October about an incident that happened at this school where my son had something stolen from him, and you have yet to respond to me." I said, "Today is May 7th, 2026. So do not talk to me." Mel, I feel like I didn't want her addressing me because I personally reached out to you. I sent an email to you regarding how a matter was handled. Someone stole something from my son and nothing was done about it. The teacher completely looked over it, didn't pay it any mind. I reached out to the principal because I had concerns. She never, today is what, July 25th? Is today 25th?
26.
26 mail, and she still has not responded to that email. So I have a big problem with you intervening with anything that I'm saying to the assistant principal. Don't you talk to me, because when I was talking to you and you had the ability to respond to me, you ignored me just like my son was ignored. But they called the police on me because they said, she told me to leave, and I said no. I said I want the appeal paperwork, and so they said call the police. So my sister told me don't worry about it, leave, let an attorney get it, but we have to go. And so Mel, we started leaving, and when we got halfway to my truck, we see the police trucks flying. They're rolling up there. My son started speed walking to get to my truck, Mel. My baby started like he wanted to run to safety to get to my truck. I think he felt like if he was inside of my truck, he couldn't be taken. That was painful. I said, son, you don't have to run. I said, you don't have to run, son. He was looking back. He was so nervous. My baby was trying to just get to, you know, to my truck. And so I touched bases on that incident because I wanted to give light on what happened, but also my son's mental state. How this has affected him mentally. But yeah, he was trying to run to my truck to get to safety. When the police came, we spoke with them. We didn't get, any trespassing charges filed on us or anything. They asked me, they wanted to know. Well, I told them why I was there. I was there for a meeting. I asked for the appeal paperwork. They called the police on me, and they asked me what's next. The police asked me, do you have any further interaction with these people? What happened? All I could tell them was that I didn't know, Mel, because I'm still confused. I don't know when he starts this placement. I don't know. I know they told me I was going to hear from the principal over at the DAEP, but I don't know when to expect to hear from them. I don't know anything. I'm just waiting on time or waiting for someone to contact me. And the next day is when I received the appeal paperwork. I received a letter explaining that my son was suspended from school until further notice, and then there would be a DAEP placement meeting to take place that I would need to set up. And I looked and I'm like, wait a minute, the meeting has already happened. The meeting happened yesterday, but here is a letter, or a form, whatever you want to call it, explaining to me that my son is suspended until further notice. So I notated that I'm receiving documents out of order as well. Not only has this process not been explained to me, but I receive a letter. It doesn't have a date on it, and I wonder why. Why is it not dated? Why is it not dated to say that this is when I received it? I know that the DAEP placement meeting had already taken place, and that letter was telling me that there will be a meeting to discuss, the placement. And so I just found that very odd. But yeah, my son is mentally disturbed. He is, male.
Wow, this is sad. All right, we're going to keep moving. Thank you for sharing all of this with us.
I'll direct that same question to you. What is the impact of having an assault with bodily injury on an educational record? Does it affect college, transcripts, et cetera?
There's no impact as those records are sealed. Administrators are the only ones that have the ability to view behavior history from prior campuses. Coaches and teachers do not.
And then, Mr. Gunnels, Ms. Maddox brought up the point of you shortened the DAEP placement. How does that not overturn the assault classification?
As I explained, I felt that the behavior still constituted assault with bodily injury. However, due to the timing, the proximity to the end of the school year, and his lack of any significant behavioral history prior to that, Also, combined with the totality of the circumstances, I felt that it was appropriate to reduce it to time served and not carry it on into the next school year. However, I do still believe that an assault with bodily injury occurred and that some measure of disciplinary consequence was warranted.
And I asked Ms. Maddox this question, but I'll ask it of you as well. Are there student statements that indicated that the other student intentionally hit or pulled hair of Ms. Maddox's son?
The statements do not say anything about pulling hair. They do reference that he slapped TQ's glasses off. And then the other statement, there were two witness statements that were collected during the process. One references slapping glasses off. The other one says that he slapped TQ's glasses off, but specifically says, I don't know if it was by accident or on purpose. So there was nothing clear that established that there was an intentional strike from the other student towards Takori.
And then,
What in the world? This is like the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Any words?
Yeah, I have some words for that. I feel like if we are going to seek validity from anybody expressing whether it was intentional or not, whether that student's strike on my son was intentional or not, we should seek it from that student. We should have been seeking it from that student. I feel like the assistant superintendent was saying, hey, it doesn't look like he tried to. Well, I want to know if the other student acknowledged that he didn't try to. When my son asked you, why'd you pull my hair? If when you do something to someone, you apologize if you don't mean to do it. He could have said, my bad, bro. Or could have given my son the opportunity to get up. He fell into this placement. Give him a chance to get up before you go to striking him. But if you don't even say that I didn't mean to hit him, I wasn't trying to hit him, then it's questionable for me as to why other people coming behind you are saying that it wasn't intentional. If you didn't say that yourself, my son know what you said to him. You told him to get the fuck off of you, and so I feel like it was intentional. But in the event, Mel, again, if it was not intentional, the principal said that because my son was placed on top of this student already, although it was accidental, he fell into this position, that the other kid was right, or he was acting out of self-defense for striking my son. So if the other kid also accidentally hit my son, if we're viewing this through the same lens and the same eyes, if his actions were accidental, why is my son not afforded the same accountability of the act? Why are you guys not saying, well, my son had the option to react the way that he did because the kid accidentally hit him even though it was an accident? You guys are saying that even though it was unintentional, the strike was unintentional, the other kid, I mean, you guys are saying that the strike is not intentional. Well, so was my son's fall. He didn't just get on top of this kid and want to punch him because he fell. He accidentally fell like that. And so an accident is an accident. He made an accident. He made an accident that occurred while they were playing basketball, yet one is the only one that's punished.
Okay, several people that have just come in are asking what's the race of the other kid.
I don't know his race. I know he's not African American. I can't say for certainty, well, with certainty, if he's white, because, and I'm not saying that because of the skin color. I'm saying that because of how people identify. You have mixed, categories and things. I don't know if that child has Mexican in him or not, but I know the skin tone. He's not African American. He resembles the white a white person. He resembles a Caucasian race. He's not African American. He's opposite. This is the reason why, Mel, I'm pretty sure people heard me in my relief mention aggregate data. I made a public request to the public information officer asking for the aggregate data for the placement of the students in the DAEP area, because I wanted to know if you have two black kids over here and one is saying, hey, he hit me first, or I was defending myself. I want to be able to see if the other black student is afforded that same account, or they're giving the same grace to say, hey, you're not going to get punished, but this other black student that hit you back, we're going to punish him? Or do you treat it as a mutual fight? I want to know that. I want to be able to decipher that. If we have two African American students that got into a fight and one hit the other one acted out of self defense, did both of those students end up going to DAEP? Or was one able to remain in school just like the other student, and the other one the only one punished? I want to know.
Okay,
Because
so I'm trying. Let me tell you what I want to know. I want to know, how can he have self defense on a foul in basketball?
right, that's the same thing I asked in my level
Your
two.
son, I play basketball, so your son basically fouled him. They fell or whatever. He gets to slap your son around. That's self defense. I don't understand that.
I didn't understand it either, Mel. And that's why I addressed it in my level two appeal. I said, regardless of whether this was an official basketball game or not, this happened during gameplay. There is no official rule that, supports that when you're playing basketball, if the other player fouls you, knocks you down, because in sports you're prone to injury. There's no writing. There's nothing that supports, the suggestion that they are giving. There's no written conduct or any no written statements or anything, policies that says when you're playing basketball, if another person fouls you, if they knock you down, do this, you can get up and act out of self-defense. No, they condemn basketball players for that all the time in NBA. Even if they're playing street ball, you don't get up and swing on people. I do know some people play dirty ball, but it's just not a rule of basketball. And so I pointed that out in my level two appeal. I said this happened during gameplay. And that's when the assistant superintendent minimized the strike. So now he takes it from, oh yeah, we see him hit your son, he was actually acting out of self-defense, to, well, it looks like he didn't try to hit him at all. That's when he minimized it.
Wow, this is something. Some people are asking how can they contact the school board. So I'll let you. You could actually leave that information on the community wall. I'll explain all that to you later. All right.
Yeah.
So let's get back.
Looking at the investigation, did you review student B, we'll call them, the other students' actions as far as the hair pulling allegation and the intentional hitting as part of your review?
Yes, I did.
And what were your findings there?
I could not substantiate that there was an intentional aggressive act on his part based on the statements and the video that I reviewed. The video shows that the action occurs simultaneously with him landing on his back, and I could not substantiate whether that was an intentional malicious act or simply a response to falling on his back and attempting to try and gain balance.
Gain balance.
Yeah.
God bless America.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think that in a way he supports what I've been saying, that with the video evidence, you cannot see, um, how you cannot see how these kids ended up this way. But I felt like he was truly trying to minimize the strike of this other kid. Again, if the kid, and I don't know his statement, I didn't receive it due to FERPA. I don't know what the other kid said, but I do want to say this, Mel, and this is the reason why I feel like it was not accidental. Remember me saying that the assistant principal spoke to me on the 6th and he told me about an incident that happened on the 1st?
Right.
Well, this student and my son were on the soccer team. They were on the soccer team, okay? The other student, the coaches were getting on to the kids about not having their equipment. So the other student didn't have something, and my son said, "Oh, I'm gonna tell coach." And he told him, go ahead and tell him, I don't care. So my son, mentioned it to coach. Coach said they'll deal with it. That was the end of it. At the end of the practice, that same student approached my son and said, "Don't you ever tell me what to do. You're trash at soccer or something." They had a minor argument where they passed words back and forth. And one of the things that he said to my son was, "That's right, walk away like a good boy."
Oh my.
Yeah, he told him walk up. My sister said, "What the fuck is a good boy?" She said, "That's what the fuck you tell your dog when they obey you and you give them a treat." you want to reward them for doing, following your command. She said, what is a good boy, and where did he hear that at? What do you mean a good boy? She said, and now we are at this point because my nephew did not act like a good boy. Now
Mm.
we're here because he didn't obey the good boy, the good boy, um, whatever it means by a good boy. He didn't obey the commands, and now we're here. And she
Wow.
said, basically, she feel like the other kids, gets the advantage to say, this is what I meant by walk away like a good boy, or this is what happens when you don't walk away like a good boy. But we feel like that kid knew exactly what he was doing. He's not some kid that's afraid to stick up for himself. They had an argument previously, but even then, this is one of the things I called out, because I called out the assistant principal. I said, no one mentioned anything to me about this incident that happened on Friday. If there was a moment where I could have intervened to prevent this from happening, it was not presented to me. I was not given the opportunity because no one called me to say anything happened, between these boys. I said, but I feel like there was nothing for me to intervene in. I said, because there's Monday and there's Tuesday. There has been no further, interactions with these students. My son is not having trouble with this kid. They're not having constant running. So there's nothing for me to intervene in. When I asked him for the statements and stuff for that May 1st incident, what he said was he conducted an investigation. There were several people around, but they were unable to make a determination that would result in penalty due to, the evidence that they were able to collect. Basically, the kids say some things were said. There was no one to, um, you know, substantiate that. There was no one to verify, Mel, what it was said, when it was said, why it was said. So it was dropped, and this is the reason why I was not called. Well, I have questions. If you conducted your investigation of whatever happened on the first, and the end result was you not calling this parent to tell this parent, mention anything to this parent about this, why did you mention it to me on the 6th? Why was it important then? Because
Mm.
no one told me anything on the first. You had Monday and Tuesday to do your investigation, or however long, but it resulted in whatever. However, it resulted, I was not made aware. I was not notified, and you felt like it was not reasonable to notify me because it resulted in no penalty. So, if that was your end result, why would you mention it to me on the 6th if this had absolutely nothing to do with it?
Right. Hmm. Thank you.
Yeah.
James Brown say, "Living in America."
Yeah.
And then to go back to an earlier question from AP Herrera's statement, were parents prompted that they have the right to file charges, or was this something that parents thought of sua sponte, kind of on the spot, that they wanted to do on their own?
According to Mr. Herrera, they were not prompted. They provided that information of their own volition.
So you failed to provide that information, apparently.
Yeah. He says that the other parents, said, we're pressing charges. I want to press charges. It wasn't mentioned. He's saying that he didn't offer them the opportunity to press charges. They took them upon themselves to say, hey, we're pressing charges. I'm going to press charges. Yeah, and I thought that the school did it, man. I didn't know that I could, or I don't know that I would. These are students. This is not like something drastic came from this. It's not like this child was seriously, incredibly injured. This was an incident that happened in 5 to 7 seconds, literally, because remember, the video is 18 seconds long, and I don't observe the kid pull my son's hair into the 11-second mark. So this is 5 to 7 seconds. Why would I press charges on these are kids, this is a student, you know? What's your motivation behind that? Why are you doing that? Not saying that they don't have the right to, but if you are going to give them the opportunity to press charges or describe this in a way or present this in a way to them where they feel that they have the right to, or they're able to file charges, it should have been given to me the same way, but it wasn't. It was already presented to me as my son being the aggressor, and that's how they deemed it, as him being the aggressor.
Wow. Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Did the other student indicate that he meant for slapping or harm?
He did not.
And then as far as the public information request, I'm going to go to you, Ms. Maddox. Of the categories of information still outstanding, do those records exist? Were you told they exist and just not provided? How did that work?
So I'm not sure if they exist or not. I did send a request to the individual responsible for conducting those requests. I asked that if they were available, if I could have access to them, if allowed. If it was something that they had to, if it took time for them to get that together, then I was willing to respect the time and get that. But if it's something that is not able to be produced due to law or just policy or anything, then I requested acknowledgement of that, or I requested a statement regarding it. So if it's available, I ask that I have access to it. And if it's not available or not able to be produced, then I ask for a statement indicating that this information is not available. I didn't receive any. Well, I've received some information. It wasn't what I asked for specifically. I followed up with the individual. She told me that she was currently out of town on a summer vacation, but she would attend to it when she returned. And I haven't received those records or received any statements indicating that those records are not available or cannot be produced.
And Mr. Gunnels, I'll give you the opportunity to answer that. Were public information request responsive records provided?
To my knowledge, all responsive records were provided.
And are the reports that are being requested reports that are available?
To my knowledge, those reports are not immediately available.
And then I believe there's some confusion because we've conflated on the video.
Not available. What's that about?
Yeah, so so I know that with the public information request, they have a fee for some of those regarding how long it takes for them to construct that information mail. Sometimes they have to put in time to go in and figure out this or draw this up for you. And they're supposed to provide you before they, conduct that investigation, or before they provide those documents, they're supposed to respond to you and let you know this is going to take X amount of hours. This will be your amount so that you can agree, whether you want to move forward with that request or not. I believe it is available. So what I was asking for was the different categories and things, and I wanted the classifications of the incidents. I wanted to know how many incidents that they had at the AEP that resulted from this, or this that are classified as this. I wanted to know the races, not the students' names, because again, they're protected by FERPA, but I wanted to know the races involved in those incidents. I wanted to know the number. There is a long outdrawn list that I wanted for that. I just wanted clarity. And what she provided me was nothing to the extent of what I asked for. And so I responded back to her, told her, thank you for responding to my request, but I don't believe that this satisfies what I'm asking for. And she told me that she was out of town on a family vacation, that she would be able to look into my matter when she got back. And I responded to her and told her, I believe that with your undivided attention, you will be able to, focus on my request and intake what I'm asking for. You'll be able to pay attention to what I'm asking for. When you're not away with that. I'm still waiting to hear back from her for that aggregate data, that information. I think I need that information mail, or if I can't get it, I know an attorney can. If I'm not able to get it, but I feel like an attorney, especially if I feel like civil rights have been violated or something, or if I want to claim or hold the school accountable for even discrimination, at the smallest, there's information that I need. I can't just go around accusing people of stuff, right? So I'm asking for data so that I can better understand this because I'm confused. I'm really confused at this process, how it unfolded, why this other kid had nothing done to him, and now we're at a point where even if I can put charges on the other kid, it looks bad on me when we go to court. And when we go to court, we had to go to court. It looks bad on me because you waited until June or July to file charges on this other student. Why?
Okay. Very
Yeah,
good. Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome.
When did the hair pulling allegation and the slap occur? Was it as they were coming to the floor or once they were on the floor? Ms. Maddox, I'll go to you first.
All right, so the hair pulling and the slap happened when the kids fell to the floor. My son unintentionally fell on top of the student and he pulled his hair. And he asked him, "Bro, why'd you pull my hair?" But it happened so quickly. He said, "Why'd you pull my hair?" He said, "Get the F word off me," and he slapped him. And then my son told me he had to use his hands to take his hands from his hair, and then he struck the other student twice.
Mr. Gunnels, what is your understanding of what had occurred?
My understanding is that the video evidence does not support that version of events. You do not see that degree of hand motion from the other student. You see one motion in the video, and it occurs simultaneous with him coming to rest upon his back.
And then Mr. Gunnels, Ms. Maddox has pointed out the time frame.
So, Mel, I want to say something
The
before.
total time frame of this incident from start.
Okay. Go right ahead.
I want to say something about that. Remember, I said they provided me with 2 videos. And also remember that I said that there are about 30 kids in this gym on the floor playing basketball. You have a lot of kids playing. So on one video, you are able to see, from a different angle where the kid slaps my son. When we went into executive meeting at the board meeting, that's the one, where you can observe him slap my son. I didn't pay much attention to that one because it's from a different angle. You have to zoom all the way in, and there's not much that you can see. But when we got into the meeting, the assistant superintendent pointed out, and he was able to, help me realize this is why they're saying that they see him slap my son. You can actually see it on that one video. On the other video that's 18 seconds long is where you can see the hair pull. So this has been my argument. The video is restricted in certain areas and certain times. There are so many students on the floor. They're not, it's not like they're purposely trying to surround a fight, but they are all on the floor playing basketball. They're moving. You can't really see, you can't make out every motion. But with the use of these 2 videos, you are able to see this boy both pull my son's hair in one and slap him in the other. You know, but this explains why they're not giving weight to the hair pulling. But even when I showed them in the executive session, the board was intrigued, Mel, because they saw it. They could see the hair pull. You have to slow it down. And one of the things I also pointed out was in the level 2 response, the assistant superintendent said that my son had an opportunity to disengage. And so my response was, I beg to differ, Mel, because this happened in 5 to 7 seconds. At which second was he supposed to interpret and understand that he was under attack but was no longer under attack and um, retreat? When was he supposed to get up in 5 to 7 seconds? He did not have. You're making that assumption based off of your view of slowing this video down. When you slow this video down, Mel, it does look like we have time, but we also have to keep in mind that we have 2 students that are experiencing this in real time. So we slow it down, but that still does not mean that it happened in slow time in real life, Mel. This was 5 to 7 seconds, literally.
Right.
Um,
So I think it'll be better. We reached our time, but I
yeah.
think it's better if are you available tomorrow night at 8 p.m.?
I am.
All right, so we're going to do part two and finish it out. But I
Yeah.
think hopefully the word can get out even more to know what's happening, and we'll have more local people from your area if you get my
Yeah.
drift. So thank you very much for coming on tonight. Tomorrow at 8 p.m., I'll see you here and we'll continue to find out the results. It should be exciting to have you back on.
Yeah.
I want to thank everybody that tuned in tonight. I want to give you an opportunity to talk to the listeners, the watchers, and tell them whatever your closing remarks are.
Yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in with Mel and me. It's a pleasure to have someone, listen to me or listen to what unfolded, with no dog in this fight, right? You guys don't know me. You don't know my son. You don't know the individuals, but you are able to listen, with an unbiased ear to determine what's right and what's wrong, or hear what's right and what's wrong. So I want to thank you guys for, coming to support. If you're able to help me in any way or provide assistance with me, information, anything that you may know that I may not, I'm open for that. Again, I feel like this is bigger than just, oh, we're going to let your baby come back to school and that's it. No, somebody needs to be held accountable for what they did, and who knows how many other people have, gone through the same thing. I'm not sure, but I know this mom here has her son's best interest at heart, and so it led me to, submit not one, not two, but three appeals because I feel that strongly about this situation. I feel like, I'm not going to say that my son, he didn't deserve a penalty, but I'm asking why both students did not get that penalty. If you guys can join us back here tomorrow, I'm going to try to have more detailed information for you. I've been very thorough with this. I can leave my email in the chat for you guys.
Tell
And
everybody your name.
yeah, my name is Jawandria. My name is Jawandria Maddox, and my email is jawandria@yahoo.com. I can spell that for you. I think it'll be better if I leave it in the chat. I don't want to just put my number out on here,
No,
but
don't
for
do that. Yeah.
people that are interested, and if you email me, I will respond to you. If you feel like you can help me in any way or offer assistance or, guide me down this path, I'm open to that. I can provide you with, a more personal way to get in contact with me, and we can take it from there. But yeah, thank you guys.
All right. Thank you very much for coming on tonight. I look forward to seeing you back tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Thank you to all the people. We had a lot of people thousands of people that came through tonight.
Yeah, perfect.
It's amazing. But I hope that tomorrow night we'll have even more people. And the name of the game is to get local people and more eyes on your case because I know that will affect the outcome.
Yes.
Right.
Mel, you can put I don't know how I can put my email in here. I think it'll just come to you. I can put it to you and you can drop it in the chat for some of the people that may be interested in reaching out to me.
Okay. What is it?
Jawandria. So it's
Mm-hmm.
JUWANDRIA at yahoo.com. So it's just my first
Okay.
name at yahoo.com.
And do you have let's see what else is well I'll just leave it at that. So respell it just to make sure I have it right.
Yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
JUJUAND like Delta
Mm-hmm.
RIA at yahoo.com.
Okay, great. It's all good. All right. So there you have her email address. You could also put it on the community page. I'm going to show you how to do that. All right.
Okay.
Put all your information on there. All right. So thank you very much. We'll see you guys back tomorrow night at 8 p.m. We're going to finish out. You get a chance to hear what their verdict was. And also, this story will continue. We still continue to apply pressure, right?
That's right, Mel.
All right. It's nice to have a voice. It's nice to have people to appeal to in your valuable case. All right.
Yeah.
Have a good night. I'll see you back at 8 p.m. tomorrow.
See you guys tomorrow.
Thanks. Thank you, guys. Thanks.
the same song. Building a world where we all belong. Kindness leading the way, breaking the chains. In the symphony of love, the flame remains. Embracing diversity, brighter days in sight. Watching the world sharing love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. Colors of harmony, painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might. Watching the world sharing love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. The colors of harmony, painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might.
So pretty. I saw her that pretty with